LTE is an inherently more efficient technology, potentially 2.5 times the efficiency of HSPA when deployed in 20 megahertz of spectrum. See how the dark blue capacity line goes up here? That's the impact of LTE. The ability to transfer more bits per hertz is crucial. The ITU has recognized the need for speed and spectral efficiency in standards for next-generation wireless technologies. And as I mentioned earlier, the U.S. is taking the lead in launching LTE. At this point, our imperative is to ensure the transition to LTE is rapid and smooth. And thanks to the FCC spectrum auction in 2008, we can move faster. But even with 4G technologies, it's still not enough to keep pace with rising consumer demand for mobile broadband. We also need to take greater advantage of Wi-Fi, femtocells, and other complementary technologies that boost mobile broadband capacity, and that's our third key to a sustainable model. On all the charts that we have showed, things that have increased network capacity, but take a look at what happens when we use complementary technologies. The pink area illustrates how these technologies redirect network demand. Wi-Fi and femtocells are win-win for customers and the industry. Complementary technologies helps the industry enhance our footprint and take cost out of the network while enhancing the customer experience. In fact, the cost of Wi-Fi over a wired network is just a fraction of wireless, which costs about 10 to 25 more per megabit. A key part in making these technologies succeed is that we don't burden customers with having to switch between networks. It should be invisible to the customer, a seamless transition to whatever network can best meet their current needs. But you know what? Even with these complementary technologies, that's still not enough to keep pace with rising customer demand for mobile broadband. That brings us to our fourth key, and that key is that we must all work together as an ecosystem to ensure network efficiency. Let's take a look at the next chart. By having the entire ecosystem work together to keep pace with customer network demand, we push the demand curve down even further. We need to work with app developers and device makers to make sure we're making the most efficient use of the limited natural resource we all use, and that is spectrum. In much the same way that car makers are trying to be more fuel efficient, we need to take that same efficient approach on how we use the spectrum. In fact, this should be a national imperative for all of us in the wireless ecosystem. If we do, we can meet network demand and increase our ability to meet mobile broadband needs. How big a difference does this make? AT&T tested network consumption of various email providers and found an 8x difference in bandwidth utilization. And current studies by Resavi Research also compared the mobile web browsing experience and found that a leading device maker with its newest browsing technology was more efficient by a factor of 3x. That makes a tremendous impact on spectrum use. We're already doing a lot, but we need to do even more. Okay, app efficiencies are the fourth major area which I have covered. So what happens when you improve on all four? Let's take a look at the before and after charts. On the left side of the chart is the illustrated chart that I showed you earlier with expected network demand for mobile broadband increasing over time and available network capacity to meet it. On the right side is another illustrative chart that shows the difference we can make with network benefits from LTE, complementary networks, and having the entire wireless ecosystem work together to be more efficient. Plus, you add new spectrum the FCC is recommending, and you have quite a different picture. Is that enough? Well, who can be absolutely sure? But this model does get us a heck of a lot closer to meeting the network demand that we're seeing and pushes out the crossover point significantly. That's important. The U.S. is at the forefront of the mobile broadband revolution, and I know that everyone in this room is committed to keeping it that way. Just look at where our mobile broadband infrastructure has put us. We lead the world in 3G subscribers in any way you want to look at it. We lead in Wi-Fi and the devices that use it. We lead in investment in mobile broadband. We also lead in the deployment of next-generation networks. We lead in smartphones, and we lead in the applications that run on them. We also lead in the next growth wave in our industry, emerging devices and machine-to-machine devices. What does this leadership mean to our industry and our economy? Last year, it meant about 250,000 jobs, according to CTIA. It also meant more than $20 billion in taxes and fees that this industry pays each year. And in 2009 alone, it meant more than $20 billion in investment in one of the worst economic downturns in our lifetime. As a country, we need to make sure that we keep our lead and even add to it, which also means we have to get the public policies right, policies that allow for profitable growth for our industry. We've built our leadership because of policies that encourage investment and growth. CTIA is all about our global leadership in mobile broadband. That is our legacy, and that is our future, and that is our mandate. And I have complete confidence that given the right tools and incentives, we will continue to lead. I thank you again for the opportunity to serve as your chairman this year, and thank you for joining us today.